The year is 3204 in the northern divine region's Baidi city. Dark clouds loom overhead, and thunder rumbles across the sky. Amidst the chaos, a lone figure floats in midair, surrounded by crackling lightning. This man is our protagonist, Subai. He stands in the heart of the storm, enduring the divine thunder in hopes of ascending to immortality and entering the land of immortals. Unbeknownst to Subai, danger approaches. A female cultivator standing upon a lotus flower prepares a powerful divine thunder technique. With her sword raised, she launches a strike aimed directly at Subai. At the last moment, Subai manages to dodge, barely. Though he avoids a fatal blow, the attack injures him, and he plummets to the ground. The woman descends and points her sword at him, demanding his surrender. She is Lin Wangqiu, one of Subai's own disciples. Subai, shocked and furious, can't believe that his loyal disciple would betray him. Outraged, he prepares a lethal counterattack, but before he can strike, another disciple, Bai Yuyu, launches a sneak attack from behind, piercing a hole through Subai's chest. Bai Yuyu then turns to Lin Wangqiu and insists that, despite their master's many sins, they should at least let him die with some dignity. Subai, gravely wounded, can only laugh at the betrayal. He had never treated his disciples unfairly. How could they do this to him? Enraged, he vows that he will not die alone. If he goes down, he will take them with him. Just as he is about to unleash another technique, a third disciple named Shuer activates the falling treasure copper coin, slamming Subai into the ground. He lies there, immobilized, stunned that even Shuer would side against him. Two other disciples, the eldest and the fifth, are missing, and Subai wonders about their absence. Shuer commands her master not to resist, blaming him for countless crimes that cannot be forgiven, and warning him not to blame anyone else for his fate. Hearing this, Subai only laughs and asks if they truly believe the false charges against him. But now that they have drawn their blades against him, he cannot forgive them. In desperation, Subai uses the Divine Soul's true body, law of heaven and earth technique, a self-destruction meant to drag his enemies into death with him. Realizing his intention too late, Lin Wangqiu and the others rush to stop him. She frantically asks Bai Yoyu if their senior brother, He Sayo, has a backup plan because the situation has spiraled beyond control. Regardless of their efforts, they fail to prevent the inevitable. Subai detonates his own soul's true body, obliterating himself, his disciples, and half of the continent in the cataclysmic blast. But that is not the end. When Subai next opens his eyes, he finds himself in a strange, unfamiliar place. As he tries to make sense of his surroundings, he hears frantic noises outside. Peering through a window, he sees a world overrun by a zombie apocalypse, with people fleeing for their lives as hordes of the undead roam the streets. Realizing he has been reborn, Subai's thoughts turn back to his traitorous disciples. Why would they betray him? What did they stand to gain? For now, those questions must wait. His priority is to train this new body to its peak, return to the world of immortal cultivation, and make his former disciples pay for what they did. He attempts to gather spiritual energy as he once did. His cultivation had been close to the immortal realm, so if he can just sense the ambient spirit power, he should be able to progress swiftly. Yet to his shock, he feels nothing. Thinking his body might be too weak, he looks outside again and realizes the truth. This world has no spiritual power at all. Furious, he could hardly believe it. How is this possible? Without spiritual power, there was no way for him to cultivate in this world. In fact, merely surviving here would already be extremely difficult. Just then, a man and a woman burst into the house, having barely escaped from the zombies outside. They looked terrified, as though they had nearly died. The yellow-haired boy immediately grabbed the woman. Another person, possibly named Vertical, tried to stop him, warning that her boyfriend might still be in the house, and that it would be bad if they were seen. The yellow-haired boy scoffed, telling her not to worry. Even if her boyfriend saw them, there was nothing he could do. As he removed his clothes, the woman suddenly noticed a bite mark on his arm and asked how he got wounded. The boy shrugged it off, saying he might have been bitten by those crazed people on the street and insisting it was nothing serious. They continued their business until, abruptly, the woman realized the boy had gone still. She asked him what was wrong, urging him to continue, but to her horror, he had turned into a zombie and attacked her. She struggled, barely managing to push him away. Meanwhile, Subai heard the commotion and wondered if someone else was in the house. Searching through the memories of his new body, he recalled that the woman was supposed to be his girlfriend, and the yellow-haired boy was her lover. Subai smiled bitterly, realizing that the original owner of this body had also been betrayed by those closest to him. Opening the door, Subai saw the now zombified boy lunging at the screaming woman. She noticed Subai and begged for help. He stared at her coldly, said nothing, and watched as the zombie tore into her flesh. Then, without a word, he closed the door behind him, thinking, "Serves her right." In a world with no spiritual power, Subai knew he had to find a way to survive. Otherwise, he might die here before ever returning to his original world. Sitting on the floor, he tried to retrieve something, anything, from his sea of consciousness that could save his life. Yet with his current cultivation level, advanced magic items like the 9 Changes Spirit Pellet were beyond reach. All he could do was rely on luck and hope for the best. Finally, he pulled out a low-level magic weapon, the 10,000 Souls banner. Subai was disappointed. How could he have ended up with such a low-level magic weapon? He had hoped to retrieve something that could truly save his life in this chaotic world. Just as his frustration peaked, a blue window suddenly appeared before him. System prompt. It has been detected that the host has obtained the magic weapon 10,000 Souls banner. The host is now bound to the 10,000 Souls banner system. Current system level 1. Capacity 10 souls. Upgrade requirement to level 2. Hunt down an elementary mutant. Curious, Subai wondered what sort of system this could be, especially attached to a mere low-level weapon like the 10,000 Souls banner. As far as he remembered, the banner's only function had been to collect souls. The system then explained that by using the 10,000 Souls banner, he could harvest the souls of the dead, convert their soul power into spiritual power, and feed it back to himself. The higher the banner's level, the stronger the souls it could collect, and thus the more spiritual power Subai would gain in return. However, there was a catch. Any person who had been dead for more than 5 minutes would have a soul that completely vanished, rendering it uncollectible. Subai smiled. So it really is possible to transform soul power into spiritual power. Even if this world lacked natural spiritual energy, he realized that, with zombies everywhere, there was no shortage of materials to harvest for cultivation. Suddenly, he remembered the girlfriend who had betrayed him and the yellow-haired boy, both now zombies, banging on the door. Subai opened it, and the 2 zombies lunged at him. He swiftly killed them with the 10,000 Souls banner, but to his surprise, they continued moving even after he attacked. At that moment, he activated the banner's true power, collecting their souls and converting them into spiritual energy. Subai was amazed to feel a breakthrough in his cultivation almost immediately. After absorbing their souls, he now had 2 controllable souls at his command, and his spiritual power had grown noticeably stronger. He couldn't help but smile. Despite its humble appearance, the 10,000 Souls banner had proven to be far more powerful than he ever imagined. Sometime later, outside, people were running in all directions, desperately searching for any safe place to hide. In the midst of this chaos, Subai was also looking for supplies. His body was still too weak. "I can't do much cultivation in this condition," he thought. "First, I need to find some supplies, then consider upgrading the 10,000 Souls banner." Suddenly, a group of zombies perched atop a nearby building heard the commotion below and leaped down into the fleeing crowd. Among them was a plump, blonde-haired woman who panicked upon seeing the zombies heading toward her. In a desperate attempt to save herself, she grabbed another woman from the crowd and threw her at the zombies, using the poor victim as a human shield. Subai happened to witness this horrifying act, and was shocked to recognize that the woman who'd been thrown to the zombies looked exactly like Lin Wangqiu, one of his disciples who had once betrayed him. Furious and confused about her presence here, he quickly summoned the 10,000 Souls banner and killed the zombies attacking her. Lin Wangqiu gasped with relief, grateful to be rescued. "How did you end up here?" Subai demanded, glaring at her. "Not long ago you used the Divine Thunder technique on me, forcing me into a wretched state. Now you can't even protect yourself from a handful of low-level monsters?" He could scarcely believe that his former disciple, who had once caused him so much trouble, was now so weak. Yet Lin Wangqiu only stared at him in bewilderment. She had no idea who he was or what he was talking about, and she couldn't understand how he already knew her name when, to her knowledge, they had never met. Standing up, she thanked Subai for saving her life and asked if they had met before. Incensed, Subai pointed his spear at her. "Don't pretend to be crazy. You won't get away by feigning ignorance." Startled, Lin Wangqiu tried to calm him. "Sir, this isn't the time for wild accusations. There are more monsters nearby. We should leave and find somewhere safe." Hearing her words, Subai hesitated. "Did I get the wrong person?" he wondered. "Or is she simply not the Lin Wangqiu I once knew?" Subai still found it difficult to believe that the woman before him wasn't the traitorous disciple he remembered. She looked identical to Lin Wangqiu, and he was sure he would never mistake her face. Unless, he thought, unless coming to this world caused her to lose her memories. As he moved closer, hoping to investigate, Su Bai's stomach growled. Lin Wangqiu smiled at the sound and mentioned there was a large shopping mall not far away. She planned to gather supplies there and possibly take refuge. She invited Su Bai to join her, and although he hesitated briefly, he eventually agreed, if only to see for himself whether or not she was truly the same Lin Wangqiu. Gripping his hand, Lin Wangqiu urged him to hurry so they could stock up on supplies and wait for rescue. Su Bai followed her, still torn between suspicion and curiosity. Even if she really has lost her memories, he thought, her betrayal remains. Sooner or later, she'll pay for it. After half an hour, they reached the entrance of a Walmart supermarket. While standing at the front doors, Lin Wangqiu asked for Su Bai's name. Hearing this, Su Bai realized she truly seemed unaware of who he was. She wasn't faking her confusion at all. Still, he refused to let his guard down. Stepping past her, he answered curtly, "Su Bai." Following a brief introduction, Lin Wangqiu invited him to head inside. She suggested they use the store's resources and wait for rescue. But to their surprise, the supermarket was already crawling with zombies. And not just ordinary ones. Among them was a mutated zombie that stood out. It kept mumbling phrases like, "Apply for a card, get 50% off," before slaughtering several normal zombies in its path. Then it charged straight at Su Bai. Su Bai smirked as he felt the creature's aura. It's probably at the initial stage of the spiritual sea realm, he realized. That must be an elementary mutant. Lin Wangqiu, terrified, hid behind him, urging him to retreat and find safety elsewhere. But Su Bai saw this as an opportunity, not a threat, a sacrifice that could help him upgrade his 10,000 souls banner to level 2. Summoning the banner, he commanded 2 zombie slaves he controlled to attack the mutant. The supermarket erupted into chaos as his zombies clashed with the others, killing them one by one. However, the mutated zombie soon noticed Su Bai's slaves and charged in to attack. Su Bai quickly ordered them to pull back, but the mutant was too quick and killed one of his zombie slaves. Seeing an opening, Su Bai launched a sneak attack from behind. At the same time, his remaining slave, a female zombie, leaped onto the mutant's back and bit into its neck. The mutated zombie roared in pain. Su Bai quickly ordered his slave zombie to slam it into the ground, knocking it unconscious. Then he activated the 10,000 souls banner to absorb its soul, making it his newest slave. Right after absorbing the mutated zombie, a system window appeared before him. System prompt: "Congratulations on defeating an elementary zombie. The 10,000 souls banner has been upgraded to level 2. New capacity 5 additional souls. Next upgrade requirement: hunt down an advanced zombie, a foundation stage beast." Su Bai frowned at the new requirement. "My current cultivation is still at the spiritual sea realm. To defeat a foundation stage beast, I'll need to absorb more spiritual power first." Meanwhile, Lin Wangqiu was awestruck by Su Bai's display of strength. She had originally dismissed him as some crazed individual, never imagining he was this powerful. Watching her childish admiration, Su Bai found it hard to believe she could be the same disciple who had once betrayed him and nearly ended his life. With the mutated zombie defeated, the survivors who had been hiding in the supermarket cautiously emerged. Relieved that the threat was gone, they began redistributing supplies and preparing to wait for rescue in relative safety. There seemed to be enough resources to sustain them for a while. Lin Wangqiu turned to Su Bai, pointing out how large the stockpile of supplies was. "If we use this wisely, we can stay hidden in a safe place until the rescue team arrives," she suggested. However, the other survivors were not so welcoming. One man stepped forward, glaring at Lin Wangqiu and Su Bai. "This is our territory," he declared. "You can't just help yourselves to our supplies without our permission." Several others quickly agreed with him, insisting that they had risked their lives to gather everything during the chaos. They weren't about to let newcomers take advantage of their hard work. Lin Wangqiu bristled at their accusations and shouted back, "If Mr. Su Bai hadn't killed that mutated zombie, all of you would have been sitting ducks waiting to die. Now you want to claim these supplies for yourselves and ignore the fact that he saved your lives?" However, they didn't believe him. They said he was as thin as a bamboo pole. How could someone like that kill a monster? In their opinion, the monsters must have killed each other. Lin Wangqiu shouted, unable to believe how shameless those people were. Before she could say anything more, Su Bai stopped her and warned her not to argue with mindless people, reminding her that words alone wouldn't change anything. Lin Wangqiu looked at Su Bai and insisted that he was the one who had obviously defeated those monsters. She couldn't let anyone else take advantage of his hard work. Subai simply smiled and said, "Only the weak use such petty tricks. The strong are always right." He cast a cold gaze over the crowd and announced that he needed supplies, asking who was in favor and who was against it. They all opposed him, telling Subai there were many of them and only one of him, so he couldn't win. They advised him to leave peacefully, hinting that if he angered them, they wouldn't be responsible for what might happen. Subai only smiled and said that if he couldn't get supplies peacefully, he would have no choice but to kill them. Once they were dead, all the supplies would be his. He summoned his mutated zombies and ordered them to attack. Terrified, the crowd begged Subai to spare them, promising he could take all the supplies he wanted as long as they could keep their lives. But he didn't care. He killed those who had threatened him. The rest fled in terror, trying to save themselves. Standing confidently, Subai asked if anyone else wanted to stop him. No one dared say a word. They stood silently, too afraid to even lift their heads. Then Subai turned to Lin Wangqiu and told her to take whatever she wanted. No one would dare oppose them now. She nodded and began collecting supplies. After stuffing her bag, she asked if Subai needed anything. He smiled and said that in return for saving her, all he wanted was help carrying some supplies. Secretly, he was testing her to see if she really had amnesia or was only pretending. Lin Wangqiu agreed, packing his share of the supplies. Subai was confused. He didn't know if she really was his disciple Lin Wangqiu or if he himself had lost his memory. After a few minutes, she finished packing and asked whether they should stay and wait for rescue or head elsewhere. Subai turned to leave, saying he planned to look for stronger zombies to hunt. All she needed to do was follow him with the supplies. Lin Wangqiu nodded and followed him. Once they were gone, everyone else breathed a sigh of relief. Even so, they couldn't believe Subai had dared to kill people so casually. They agreed to report him to the authorities if rescue ever came, insisting that someone like him should be brought to justice. But now that he was gone, they gathered around what remained of the supplies, dividing them up as quickly as possible before any other danger appeared. In the midst of their squabbling, oblivious to the threat looming behind them, Subai's two zombie servants crept up, ready to attack. Just then, one man in the crowd noticed the zombies and freaked out, running as fast as he could to save himself. Unfortunately, it was already too late. The zombies charged forward and took down everyone one by one. A blonde, overweight woman remained alive for a moment, terrified and pleading for help, but the zombies spotted her and crushed her head underfoot. Once the massacre ended, Subai gathered their souls and converted them into spiritual power. He knew leaving survivors would only cause him trouble in the future. Now that he could control 3 undead, Subai felt a bit safer. Still, he was well aware that if he ever had to face more than 10 zombies at once, he'd have no choice but to retreat. Until his level rose, he would keep a low profile. Meanwhile, Lin Wangqiu, who had been following him, was exhausted. She asked if they could rest somewhere, but Subai told her he had no time to waste. If she slowed him down, he would leave her behind. Embarrassed, Lin Wangqiu insisted that she believed Mr. Subai would never abandon her. He smiled and asked why she was so sure, reminding her that they were strangers and he could do as he pleased. Lin Wangqiu confidently replied that she knew the location of the powerful zombie he was looking for. Intrigued, Subai asked how she knew. Lin Wangqiu explained that, back at her university, she fled the campus after spotting a strange creature near the lake. It gave off an unusual scent, and she was certain it was dangerous. Nervously, she admitted she wasn't sure it was the advanced zombie Subai sought, but it certainly seemed formidable. Hearing this, Subai reasoned that if it was anything like the mutant beast in the supermarket, it was worth investigating. He told Lin Wangqiu to lead the way. Pleased that he believed her, Lin Wangqiu happily guided him toward the campus. Sometime later, the two of them finally reached their destination, but the campus was overrun with zombies. Lin Wangqiu stopped, scanning the surroundings anxiously. Seeing her hesitate, Subai asked why she had stopped yet again. Lin Wangqiu whispered for him to lower his voice. So many people at the school had turned into those creatures, and if they accidentally drew attention, they'd be in huge trouble. Subai told her not to worry, declaring he would handle the situation. He summoned his zombie servants and ordered them to clear a path. Lin Wangqiu, concerned, warned him they should do this quietly instead of being so reckless. But Subai ignored her protests, wondering what had happened to the world to turn so many humans into these half-human, half-ghost monsters.